Hey, it's me, your old pal Hunter, and I'm back with something a little unusual for me today. Uh, if you're a regular watcher of my channel, or if you're one of my subscribers, then you know that my channel is all about me trying to be silly and making small, silly, jokey videos to kind of take you away from the doldrum of your day. And that's its point, and that's my focus. My channel is a place for you to go to, and you can watch me be silly for a couple of minutes and hopefully get a laugh. And it's very rare that I'm ever serious. As a matter of fact, I've only thus far put out one serious video. It's titled Words, and it's me having a hissy fit about the way people mispronounce some words. I'm going to put out another serious video today, this one, although I'm not upset about anything. It's just not a silly joking video. This is actually a video response to a video that I watched from my newest subscriber, a subscriber whose name is Murfra. And I thought that she had a brilliant idea. She discussed what the origin of her username, her screen name for YouTube was. And I thought that was brilliant because that's something that everybody can relate to, because anyone who's on YouTube has a username, or what people call an SN, a screen name. So I thought that today I would follow suit, and maybe this is something that'll catch on and other people will do this as well. And I invite you to. I invite you to do a video response to my response. I'm very interested in the origins of the screen name. In many ways, it's how we know some of our friends. There is an anonymous element to YouTube, and sometimes we know our friends by their screen name rather than their first or last real name. So, my screen name is HUNTERWORLDNATION. And fairly simply, my first name is Hunter. And you know that because I start every video with, "This is your old pal Hunter." That's my opening tag. You'll see it on every one of my videos. Now, why World Nation? Is it because I'm narcissistic? Well, yes, I am narcissistic, but that's not the reason that I chose those two words. I chose the words world nation for a specific reason. It's my belief that the internet, and more specifically YouTube, is the last vestige of hope to actually save our planet. I really believe that. We live in very troubled times, scary times. As a matter of fact, yesterday I had a conversation with a young man who was 18 years old, and I was struck by the fact that he related to me that in all of his memory, our country, the United States, had been at war. And that's because we've been at war since 2002, and he's only 18 years old. And so looking back for him over that period of time, those 6 years, was about as far back as his memory really went. Very often we don't remember many things about our early youth. And so for him, for all of his recorded memory, he remembers us being at war, fighting terrorists, living through frightening, troubled times. Now, I'm significantly older than 18, so I certainly remember much more peaceful, much more easy times for the world to live in. There were always problems in the world. No matter how far back you go in history, there are things that people had to contend with, and there were frightening things that people had to contend with. As a youth, I remember being raised to believe that the Soviet Union at any time may drop nuclear bombs on the United States. We actually had, as children, drills where you would ridiculously crouch under your desk and do something called duck and cover. As if that would help you if they dropped a nuclear bomb, but I guess it was a way of making people feel better and more secure about what was going on. So, Hunter World Nation. The reason that I call my channel World Nation is I believe that the internet, and more specifically YouTube, creates a world nation, a world without borders, a world in which there aren't specific countries, that it's one world nation. And so my first name is Hunter, I have this belief about it being a world nation, and that's why I named my channel Hunter World Nation. I believe that there are relationships that are created by virtue of YouTube that but for it would not exist. I know for myself, I have friends all over the world. And before I was on YouTube, I also had friends all over the world, but my interchange with them, the way that we interacted with one another, was generally through either chat rooms or instant messages. And you can get to know somebody that way, and you can create friendships that way. But it's very different when you can look someone in the eyes, when you can hear them and see them speak. And YouTube changed that. And the reason I feel that's so important is this next generation who we are going to be handing the world off to, this is all they know, is this world without borders. And once we do hand the world off to them as they become the generation in charge, I believe it's much harder to bomb and kill people when you have personal connections to people in those countries. I believe that it's much harder to make people swallow propaganda when you have personal relationships with people, and it's very hard to demonize when you can easily see through that. When I was a child growing up, we were taught that the Russians were less than human, that the Soviet Union was the evil empire, and our president actually used those words. He referred to the Soviet Union as the evil empire. We see a bit of that today with George Bush speaking about nations being part of the axis of evil. And, you know, to an extent, that is propaganda. There are bad people everywhere. But no sweeping generalization about any large group of people is ever right, because people are individuals. So, again, my point is, it's very hard to feed people propaganda that they will accept and just in a very wide swath believe if they have relationships with people in those other nations. Very hard to teach you to hate that way. And so I believe that the internet, and more specifically YouTube, is the last hope. We're dancing, folks, on the very last fibers, I believe. There are so many nations that have nuclear weapons. There are so many nations where people are so upset that they turn to terroristic acts. And that's exactly what a terrorist does, is terrorize. And they only have to be correct in terms of their planning. They only have to succeed once. And the reaction is devastating. And up till now, since 9/11, in the United States anyway, there has not been a major terrorist attack. That doesn't mean it won't happen again. It just means that it hasn't thus far here. It's happened in other countries. One of the reasons it hasn't happened here is that we've been so on guard. But they only have to be correct once. They only have to get through the levels of security that we have once. And I don't want to scare everybody, and everybody is tense enough as it is. And again, my intention with my channel is to be light and airy. But I really do believe that the last vestige of hope is here, where we can make interpersonal relationships and rise above being taught to hate. All right, folks, this is your old pal Hunter. Sorry it was so long and it was so serious, but I guess you're learning another side of me today. Bye.